Hi, I'm Irene Diamond, and I'm interviewing my father, Dr. Milton Diamond, from the John A. Burns School of Medicine, University of Hawaii, and he's a professor and an educator. And Dad, you're most well known now for your work in transgender. And how did you start studying that group of people? What would you like to say about that group?
Well, first, the idea was that I was, again, interested in development. And there was, for a while, the theory that started in the 50s that development of whether you identify as a male or a female came the way you were brought up.
Mm-hmm.
There was a psychologist called John Money. And
Is he still alive?
No, he died several years ago.
Dr. John Money.
Dr. John Money at the Johns Hopkins University. And he perpetuated the idea that it's pretty much individuals are born what he called sexually undifferentiated. I just changed it to neutral. People more know that word
So he
better.
said people were born neutral,
That's right.
as far as their gender identity.
That's right. And they developed that by the age of 2 or 3 by the way they're brought up. So and I said, well, that's sort of a pink room, blue room theory.
Mm-hmm.
If you put a kid in a pink room, it'll be a girl, a blue room boy, which of course I don't believe at all.
Right.
But I don't believe that because it never was that way with the animals.
Right.
You know?
So it gets back to the animals you studied.
Well, yeah. And the seminal work there was done by a group called Charles Phoenix, Bob Goy, Arnie Giral, and William C. Young. And what they showed was that if you treat a female pregnant animal with male hormone, then you wait for the babies to be born. Those babies that are born when they get to be adult, even though they're not done anything with, the females will act like males.
Because of the male hormone.
Because of the male hormone given to the mother during pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a very important group of experiments which showed the power of male hormones.
Right.
And now we know from subsequent years of work that it's that male hormone
Or lack of
that is very important in structuring an individual's orientation and behavior. Now, that became very clearly demonstrated with the prime case that John Money wanted to use, because he had this set of identical twins in which one, due to a circumcision accident, had his penis burnt off.
Right, and this is your landmark case that brought this all
That's
to the
right.
public awareness.
That's right.
And it's called the John Joan case.
Well, because we want to maintain his anonymity,
Right,
so I called him John Joan.
right.
And Money never gave it a name because he didn't want him to be investigated.
Mm-hmm.
So I called him John Joan.
And him being the one boy born of the twins
Right.
whose penis was burned.
Right.
And they raised him as a her. That's
Because
why.
John Money said, the poor parents were so anguished. What should they do with a son who doesn't have a penis?
Right, and this was what year?
Well,
It was
he
like in the
was
60s.
born in 65,
Right,
and this happened, soon after.
right. So in the 60s, people respected and listened to what the doctor's advice is.
Right.
And they followed the doctor's advice, which was,
Well, at that time, because of what Money was saying, is it didn't make a difference which way you raise them. Well, if you're a surgeon and you have a kid that doesn't have a penis and you have a choice of what should you do, in those days they couldn't make a new penis.
right.
So there was only one choice. They made those males into boys.
Right, into females.
I mean, you're right.
Males into females.
Males into females.
And I know you have your phrase.
Easier.
Yeah, your phrase is better.
Well,
to,
it's not.
It's easier to build a pole. No.
Yeah.
What do you say? It's easier to build a hole than a pole.
That's right. Well, I didn't make that phrase up, but yes, that's what the physicians used to say. The surgeons, you see. So it was easier to make these into girls. Well, I didn't believe that.
Right, because again, that's on the outside of their physical body, but it doesn't change
And it
their...
didn't go along with anything found out in the animal experimentation.
Yes.
So I decided, hey, even though he says this kid is doing fine, I want to find that kid.
Yeah.
So it took me, a bunch of years.
You had to track him down and find out who that child really was.
That's right. And fortunately, I was able to locate the psychiatrist that dealt with him, Keith Sigmundson.
Mm-hmm.
And fortunately, he realized the importance of bringing the truth out.
Yes.
So he helped me locate David. And it's interesting, I called him John Joan. His original name was Brenda.
That his mom and dad gave him.
Right. And, no, I'm sorry. When they changed him into a girl, they called him Brenda.
Right.
But,
and just so for people who aren't familiar with the study or with the book, and the name of the book is?
As Nature Made Him.
As Nature Made Him.
By John Colapinto.
Right. And so he was raised as a girl, and put in dresses and called Brenda.
Right.
And his whole life knew he felt wrong. It wasn't what he wanted to be.
That's right. Until the age of 14. And he said, if I can't live as a boy, I'll commit suicide.
Right, because his internal...
Inside, he
was...
kept knowing that he didn't fit in as a girl. He didn't feel right as a girl. The girls didn't accept him as a girl.
Right.
And the boys certainly didn't accept him
But medicine
as a girl.
at that point kept telling the parents, keep raising him as a girl.
That's
He'll
right.
he'll get used to it.
And they told him, never tell him that there was any
That
reason
he
that he ever been born a boy. But finally, at the age of 14, he pressed the issue by saying, I'll commit suicide if I can't.
Yeah. Because he had so much anguish and torment inside.
Absolutely.
And so then his dad came clean,
And then
admitted what
he was
happened.
told, yeah. And then he said, well, great, then I'm not crazy, because he kept thinking he was.
Yeah.
And he changed immediately.
Right.
I mean, like within a month or two, he was immediately wearing male's clothes.
And felt more comfortable in his own skin.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so for those babies now who are born with either ambiguous genitalia or something like that happens, now, at least in the United States, they don't change them, right?
Well, the majority. I mean, I've tried.
I know.
Fortunately, I was invited by the American Academy of Pediatrics to give a talk, and it's interesting, when I was invited to give the talk, I told my wife, Connie, to sit in the front row, because I thought, since I was going to tell them what they were doing for the past 40 years was wrong,
Did they
that
throw
they would
tomatoes?
start throwing tomatoes.
You thought that?
Yeah. So I told her, I said, you sit there.
Be your bodyguard.
That's right. But I was so, when I did tell them, that I thought what they were wrong, at the end of my talk, it was perfect silence. And I was worried, well, there must be a reaction. And then all of a sudden, everybody stood up, and I get emotional when I talk.
Because they were relieved, probably. They kept doing what they
I
knew
don't know
was
about
wrong.
whether they were relieved, but at least they thought they learned something, and they realized. So now, and they've done surveys, now about 75% of the physicians, the surgeons now, do it
In the United States?
in the United States, yeah. Unfortunately, they're still working this out in most other places. I just got asked to consult in Germany, actually, because in Germany That's a very difficult transition.
So in the countries who are not as enlightened, they're still doing
Unfortunately,
what they did to this child David
that's right.
and raising them as females.
My advice now is you never touch a kid, do surgery for a kid, unless it's medically necessary.
Right,
And that's all cosmetic.
right.
Because
But not only the surgery, still, even though they may not have a penis, he's still a boy. So still treat him
Exactly.
as a boy and call him a boy and raise him as a male.
Well, that's right. And you see, the thing is, we use male and boy interchangeably. Male and female are biological terms, but a male can live as a girl
Yes,
or as a woman.
yes.
And we know, and those are the individuals we call transsexuals, you see.
Mm-hmm.
So the social terms are boy and girl, man and woman, social. The biological terms are
Male,
male and female.
Right. Great. Thank you, Dad.
Hi, I'm Dr. Milton Diamond, the University of Hawaii School of Medicine, John A. Burns School of Medicine. If you're interested in things I have to say or interested in the things I've written about, I have a website you can check out. It's under the Pacific Center for Sex and Society. And if you'd like to keep in touch, or you'd like me to let you know if I'll be speaking in your area or writing things you may be interested in, drop me a line, fill out this form that's associated with this, and we can keep in touch. Thank you.